So we got a really nice 15-gallon fantastic avocado, and it's in bloom. Got it for a decent price, I think, compared to most nurseries and stuff. um, So fantastic is actually the most cold hardy of all of the avocados. And out of all the avocados, there are 3 varieties or races: Mexican, Guatemalan, and West Indian. And the Mexican are the most cold hardy. The Lila that we have is also a Mexican type. So sometimes the word type is actually used differently because they call the 3 location specific avocados as races. And then there's type A and type B, which I talked about kind of like when I was talking about how avocados are kind of similar to pawpaws, in that the same flowers turn from male to female or female to male. Pawpaws always go from female to male, and the types of avocados, type A and B, one of them will turn from male to female, the other one will turn from female to male. Pawpaws, I think, may take several days to transition from female flower to male sometimes, and avocados actually transfer from male to female or female to male, I think, in midday. So when people talk about pollination for avocados, they will sometimes say they're semi-self-fertile, but they'll actually get more pollination when you have 2 types, a type A and a type B. So there is about a 1-hour window somewhere in the day when the transition is going on, and you have both sexes, blooming. So if the bees and stuff pollinate within that 1-hour window, there is a level of pollination going on within the same tree. When you have type A and type B, all day long you can get pollination back and forth, I guess, for any open flower. Fortunately for avocados versus pawpaws, is bees will pollinate the flowers, whereas pawpaws have like carrion flies and beetles that will pollinate, which leads to less pollination. But unfortunately, even with hand pollination, there's usually no more than about 8% of the flowers that get pollinated. So they say an avocado will get between 1 and 8% pollination no matter how hard you try or whatever. Supposedly, like a large avocado tree will have like 1 million flowers and produce maybe a couple hundred fruits, which is still a lot. So we have 2 different avocados. They are the same race, different cultivars, but they are the same type, which means the male flowers are pretty much all male until midday, or female, and then they transition at the same time. So the pollination would be minimal. Hand pollination would help, but it would probably still be minimal. So if you think about plant-based fats, especially like vegan ones, some of the most popular types of fats for a diet are like seeds, some types of nuts, and coconut, which actually has a saturated fat, which is actually there's a debate on whether or not they can like raise your cholesterol levels and be pretty harmful for you. You know, there's people are split about if it's actually the only good saturated fat there is, or if no saturated fats are good. Then you have like olive oil, which has a minimum amount of processing, I guess. And then like dark chocolate, which has a high level of processing. And if you also consider that cocoa trees or whatever plants are tropical, coconuts are tropical, and you consider that so many of the nuts, like nut trees and all, won't grow in like the humid southeast because of diseases and stuff, like real walnuts versus like you can grow like black walnuts, but like your English walnuts and stuff won't grow here, hazelnuts, and you're kind of limited to pecans and stuff like that. So then you have avocados, which are somewhere between tropical, subtropical, and bordering on the temperate zone, especially like the Mexican races or whatever. So the fantastic here is said to, once established, be cold hardy to 15 degrees. There are reports that it has taken down to 10 degrees and still survived in like a well-established plant in probably only a very short period of time. But avocados require no processing to get the fat out. You can eat it fresh. You can make your guacamole. You can put it in ice creams, smoothies. So there is no processing involved. So it's kind of more important as a plant-based fat source than almost anything else. You know, there is, especially for a subtropical zone. And if we can get these growing here and have successes, you know, like major success, and, you know, am I going to keep getting more avocado trees? If I have successes, I may go get the opposite type, you know, type A and type B, so we have both types to maximize pollination. But if I'm not successful, I may not ever try this again, because this is my second attempt. So yeah, just kind of talking about the importance of avocados as a fat source, you know, and there are like soy-based and almond milk-based like ice creams and stuff, and they do not have the fat content to actually give you that texture of real ice cream. Like real ice cream has cream, you know, high-fat dairy cream in it, or coconut cream, which, you know, I've made a lot of ice creams over the years with coconut cream, and you know it has that texture and consistency of real ice cream. So you need the airiness when you churn in the ice cream. So it's the airiness, and the fat makes the texture. You know, it makes the ice cream. It doesn't matter if you have dairy or coconut or avocado or whatever, soy-based and almond-based, and or they're adding all kinds of other stuff to try to, you know, like thickeners and stuff like that. They just really do not have, they cannot really replace. They're trying to replicate it, but they're not replacing, you know, the fat, real fat. Lastly, I'll just talk about bananas. The majority of the people out there think that bananas actually have high fat content. They make an ice cream, which is a one ingredient ice cream with frozen bananas, and just mush it up in a food processor or blender or something and eat it like that, or add some kind of syrup or maybe vanilla beans or something in it, or vanilla extract, and give it a little more flavor. But bananas actually have zero fat in them. They're all carbs and calories. So there is a debate, just like the coconut debate is coconut fat the only healthy saturated fat there is, or is it still unhealthy? Or do bananas help you lose weight, or do they keep you from losing weight? So that goes back to the avocado being like one of the most important fruits for that content, that fat content, that is more tolerant of cold weather, except for nuts. That some of the nuts can survive in cold weather, obviously, but you have to crack a lot of nuts, process a lot of nuts to get the oils and stuff. And this goes back to, you can just pull an avocado off a tree and eat it. So as far as simplicity and all that good stuff, avocado probably is the most important vegan and possibly vegetarian fat source there is on the planet.